Wow, I was expecting this to take a lot longer, but you asked for it, so here it is. We're doing an actual tour of my actual real-life 8th grade art journal. And boy, is it a trip. Sorry for the audio quality and the video quality. I don't own a camera. I wanted to start off with what was the art journal, what were we putting in it, why does it look like this? Basically, we were told we were gonna have a few prompts. Some prompts that our art teacher wanted us to actually put in. Everything else, she said you can theme it however you want. She gave us one of these little, like, sleeve things, and then taught us how to make more so we could do however many pages we needed for this. I need to make it very clear that my theme for my art journal was anime. And it's incredibly specific that I say my theme was anime. My theme was not Japanese culture or Japanese language or even Japanese art styles. It was specifically anime. I feel like that tells you everything you need to know about 8th grade me. I had my weeaboo phase and my emo phase at the same time. It sure was a time. And it resulted in me becoming incredibly pretentious and thinking that I knew everything about Japan and Japanese culture and that I was an expert. So this is the back cover. We're doing this anecdote here because those of you who have seen Naruto might recognize Deidara's catchphrase. I co-opted that catchphrase. I think I saw Deidara once. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly because I did not watch Naruto. I saw Deidara one time and was like, this is my new favorite boy. I'm going to mold my entire personality off of this character who I have never experienced or seen before in his actual show that he's in. And that's on ADHD. Anyway, I remember correcting someone on the pronunciation of Deidara's name. I think he put the emphasis on the first syllable, I put it on the second syllable, or one of the two swapped. And he tried to tell me, I think it's pronounced like this. And I told him he was wrong, even though I'd never seen the show. So here's the thing about how I arranged this. Everything that is written, I knew that my art teacher was not going to read this from right to left. Why would she? But me being a dumb little weeaboo, I decided I was going to very obviously make this the front cover anyways, and then I was going to actually write the whole journal as if this was the front cover, even though in my little 13-year-old brain I was like, this is the back, clearly, it's so obvious, my name is on the front of it. What does this kanji on the side mean? I don't know! Which clearly tells you I did not actually learn the language, I just wanted to look up a phrase that was gonna look cool on my journal and then just draw it on the side poorly. But let's get into page 1. So, I have not looked at this in ages. Oh, okay. Monabucks were a silly little currency that we could use. We were given Monabucks, as a reward for doing really well in art class. They were called Monabucks because they've got little Mona Lisas on them. I can't remember what we were able to use Monabucks for. It was either, you could use them to skip an assignment, or you could use them to, get prizes. She might have had a prize box. I don't remember, it was a long time ago. This was just a quote that we were given in the very beginning to, motivate us as we were working on our art journal. I have not read it in a while, let's see. It happens that very often my writing with pen is interrupted by my writing with brush, but I think of both as writing. In other words, I don't consider myself a painter. I think of myself as someone who has used the medium of painting in an attempt to extend. And I cannot read his name. Anyways, wow. Back into being a weeaboo again. Once again, no clue what that means. No clue what that means. No clue what any of it means. I don't know. But these were the different, we had units that we were doing things on, so we were supposed to have pages in our art journal for each of the different units and styles of art that we were doing. Starting with cave art. And then we did ancient Egyptian art, so hieroglyphics and such. We did ancient China, ancient India, and Mesopotamia. And I wrote Mesopotamia. Once again, I wrote up in Romaji. I translated Art Through the Ages in Google Translate. I thought I was so smart. And then I wrote it out in Romaji up there so that you could read it in Japanese as it was intended to be read. This is where she had us she would give us a quote or ask a question or something like that, and we would have to just respond to it in written word. I don't remember a lot of these. This one's kind of fun and interesting. The prompt was, how do you feel about sharing your artwork to your family, friends, or a stranger? Explain. This is still true. I wrote that I can't talk or sing in front of people, and showing my art off to the world makes me nervous because I have high standards for myself and I get very upset when I can't reach those standards. And that's on ADHD. But I do share my art with certain individuals, only my family. At that time, it was literally just my little sister. She was the only person in the world who saw my art ever. Her and some of my old 8th grade friends. Fun little anecdote time, I wrote a manga based on me and my, like, little group of 8th grade friends. And I got through, I think, the first 6 pages of it and then never touched it again. I still have it. We'll say if this video gets, let's set my standards really high. If this video gets 100 likes, I will find the first page of that manga I did of me and my 8th grade friends, and you can see just how garbage it really, I turned us all into, like, Japanese high school students, and, like, completely idealized the way I looked. I don't look anything like how I look in real life in this manga, but all of my friends look roughly the same as they, like, normally look. Oh my gosh, it was a trip. Anyways, you can see I put little did you see the flowers? Did you see the cool little, wait, did you see a foam? I was so cool. I was such a cool 8th grader, and I put 3D things in my art journal because I was better than everyone else. Here's some more prompts. Just more prompts. We had more prompts. We call her 8th grade Grease. So if you see me referring to 8th grade Grease or hear me referring to 8th grade Grease throughout this whole process, that's who I'm talking about. It's just me as a child, and we make fun of her all the time. It wasn't just for things like this, but things like this were a huge part of why we make fun of 8th grade Grease so much. She also wrote some really interesting fan fictions that I have now scrubbed from the internet forever. Anyway, we have our last prompt page here. I think I probably just stuck this so that I would have something that I could just, like, oh hey, oh I did a little doodle, oh that's cute. And once again I had, like, 3D with the pipe cleaners and, like, little pieces of foam. We were told you could decorate this however we wanted. Most kids had much smaller art journals and pretty much only did, like, colored pencils, if anything. I think a few girls might have had those, like, sticky rhinestone gems on, like, the outside, and that's it. And I was so proud of myself because I did pipe cleaners and little flowers and ribbons and stuff, and I did a whole thing. Anyways. Oh hey, we did a little brief project on Dorothea Lange. Or was it long? I don't remember. This was years ago, y'all. I'm 25 years old now. My memory does not go back to yesterday, and that's on ADHD. And I feel bad that I have not revisited her works since 8th grade, because I remember being very fascinated by the work that she did. She was I believe a war photographer. Not exactly a war photographer, but she did a lot of the famous photos that you think of, where she just took photos that could really show off, like, what the current condition was, worked during World War II and the Great Depression. Yeah, just a fascinating woman. I should revisit her more, but it's really funny that you can see how little effort I put into this brief biography page on this spectacular woman, as opposed to all the effort that you'll see that I put in later for the Japanese art sections. That's gonna be fun. Little brief thing on fine art versus applied art. Fine art was, you know, purely decorative, applied being something that you can actually use. And for examples, I drew a little painting up here and then posted something 3D because I was quirky. And then I made a little vase with a ribbon for an example of applied art, which honestly is still kind of cute. Okay, oh, I have been waiting for this page. I'm so okay, so this was our cave art page. I just kind of ran out of creativity and just stuck a bunch of pictures of, like, collage of cave paintings on something that looked like a rock and then put it on brown because, you know, caves. This is what I want to talk about, though. This right here. So, fun little anecdote. Another little fun story time with Grace. So, we had tables in art class, and there were 4 people to a table, and that was your, like, art group for the whole class. And my table had 2 of my closest friends, and I'm going to name him. I'm going to give him his actual name. Because I hope, if he sees this one day, I'm not gonna give you a last name. I will use his real first name. If he happens to see this one day, Keon, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hated you for something that was completely outside of your control. You probably didn't even notice or care, but boy did I care. Our concept, we had to make a, like, make a cave drawing together, and each of us was going to be in charge of like one section or panel kind of the cave drawing. It was going to be a big long thing, and then each of us would do one part of what we were supposed to be doing. And our concept for our cave art painting, it had something to do with like the aliens came and were like abducting all the unicorns, and so like mammoths were trying to fight back, like big cool fancy mammoths were gonna fight back against the aliens. It was a wild concept. Some context, I'm awful at drawing animals. To this day, I cannot draw animals. I just can't. I've tried it countless times. Every time I think I'm doing a little bit better, it just falls apart. I can draw things that are like human or humanoid pretty well. I can draw humans with like animalistic features, but I can't draw animals. I've never been able to do that. So for my part of our cute little cave drawing, initially I had a section that had the unicorn in it. And we all got together, we started working, we penciled together, made a draft of what our thing was gonna look like so we could all put it together. And I drew the best unicorn I've ever drawn in my life. It was perfect. I have never drawn, to this day, a more perfect unicorn. It was flawless. I was so proud of it, and I was so proud of myself. And I have a thing about achievement. When I feel like I've achieved something, I get very, very proud of it, and I take that achievement very seriously. And this unicorn to me was a symbol of achievement. It was, I had done something, I had created something that I was very, very proud of. So Keon was missing from school for a long time. We learned at some point he had gotten bronchitis and had to leave school and be like out for basically the whole time we were working on this project. And as the deadline for the project got closer and closer, it very quickly became apparent that he was not going to be coming back in time to actually finish the project with us. So our teacher told us, okay, don't worry about it, just scrub him out, you three work on something together. When we decided to do this project without Keon, and like we had to restructure how we were going to handle the plot of our little cave drawing. And in restructuring our little cave art thing, we had to erase the unicorn entirely, and we had to structure it back down to where we could do it with just 3 people, and that meant no more unicorn. I had to erase my unicorn that I had worked so hard on and was so proud of, but I couldn't take a picture of the unicorn, basically. So I was gonna have to erase this thing that I was so proud of, and I would never see it again, and I was furious, and I decided it was all Keon's fault. So for the remainder of the school year, I hated this kid, this poor kid, and I was never like I don't think I was ever outright mean about it, but I definitely was like, anytime he walked into the room, I would do a very like sarcastic, ew, gross, get out of here. And I wonder if that did get to him after a while, because I never like actively insulted him, but it was clear I was very unhappy to see him every day that we had art class for the remainder of the school year. He comes back from being sick with bronchitis, and the first thing I did was lay into him for something he had no part in and could not control. And then I made it his problem for the rest of the school year. So, Keon, if you're watching this or you happen to catch wind of this, sorry about that. Genuinely. I was just so upset that I lost that unicorn that I worked so hard on. That's what my part of the project ended up eventually looking like. We did, however, coin a new color from all of this, which was, I started to color the sky orange and then realized it's a sky, it should be blue. So I had to color over it with blue, and we called that color Blorange, and it was absolutely disgusting. And to this day, I hate it. Oh, wow. Oh, no. We're gonna ignore this page for now. We're gonna come back to this. We had to do a self-reflection on the cave art project, so the actual plot of it was tribe people are hanging out, and then these aliens come and kill 5 of them, so the survivor gets the great war mammoth to blow the ship away. For interpret, I wrote, when aliens threaten, parentheses, the result of Keon killing my unicorn. Boy, was I mad about that unicorn. So let's get into this now. We were allowed to put some sections in our art journal that were just stuff that we just wanted to put in. If we just felt like doodling or felt like kind of going off and talking about something that had nothing to do with anything else in our journal, we could have a few sections like that. And clearly I chose to make my section, in my own words, about Nihojin Geijitsu, which Wow. If you had told me to my face back then that I was a weeaboo, I would have been so insulted and I would have been so angry at you and I would have been like, absolutely not, I'm an otaku, it's completely different. I'm not like one of those weird kids. Weeaboos are freaks. And you were one of them. Let's just see what we have here. Oh, goody. Oh, goody. More prompts. I painted over all of my prompts so much that you literally cannot read what they say. I put in like a little like advertisement for what was to come and then forgot that I had more prompts that I had to fill in and kind of just stuck those into the middle here. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And then we get to here. You can see I put in like way too much effort into, instead of just collaging it. So like here we had a collage of photos, we have a collage of photos. Instead of that, I like individually cut out each print that I wanted to talk about and pasted them onto little backgrounds that I thought like made the colors really pop because I cared so much about specifically this section, which we spent like literally one class period on, and I decided I was going to make it my entire personality. Oh my goodness. We gotta talk about this, guys. I remember my art teacher pronouncing Ando Hiroshige's name as like Ando Hiroshige, and I was so personally miffed at the fact that she mispronounced a name that is in a language that she doesn't speak, and she was just doing her best, guys. We talked about him for one class period, but I put a pronunciation guide to his last name in my little thing on Prince, just to be as petty and passive-aggressive as I possibly could. Could she have put a little bit more effort into learning how to pronounce the last name of a person that she was going to be talking about in her class? Sure. Did I have to do this? No. But I sure did, because I thought I knew everything and I thought I was a brilliant genius. And then I had a whole page dedicated to random kanji. I write here, kanji are used in Japanese writing and they are hard to draw. It is a very intricate form of calligraphy. Kanji are Japanese symbols used as a kind of calligraphy. And I wanted to make sure that I distinguished between kokuji, which is kanji completely original to Japan, and overarching kanji that originated in China. And I put another little pronunciation guide right here because I wanted you to know I know Japanese and I'm very smart. Oh, yep. I'm just gonna let you sit on that for a little bit. I told you I themed my art journal after anime, and this is a great example of exactly what I meant by that. I had like brief pages dedicated to other things, but this was what I really wanted to talk about. I did a weird amount of research into like when did anime originate, and it was a result of experiments with animation styles from the West, and early animators included, and like what was the first anime that had sound, what are some characteristics of different kinds of anime. You can tell that I didn't actually know what I was talking about. I had seen some anime and I thought that I was now an expert on the subject. And I had read those those anime how to draw books that we all got when we were children and experimenting with art that like taught you about how to use the head as a measurement for body proportions and like what eyes should look like and what noses should look like and everything. Yeah, it's a rough approximation of my art style back then. As opposed to all of this, Japan has 3 pages dedicated, plus this one, plus the front and back covers. We have 1 page on ancient China that talks about their sculptures and such. A couple pages on Egypt, one of which dedicated entirely to pyramids, and that were just like basic bullet points instead of me like doing all of this research into like prints are also known as this, and like here are the people who first originated Japanese print art, and here's what kanji are, and this is what it's called when it's specific to Japan. And then I just had like bullet points on China and Egypt, which is really sad for me. It's kind of pathetic because these are really, really interesting art styles, and I wish that I had taken advantage of the fact that we were learning so much about various different culture and art styles, and that I had actually paid attention and cared about those things because they're really interesting. I don't know, I feel like I wasted my art class, and it's very sad. Oh, so Egypt got 3 pages too. Good for you. I guess you cared about Egypt for some reason. Any attention to India at all? Oh my gosh, okay, so we need to come back to China for a little bit, because here I've got some stuff on cave art, and it's not a whole lot, but at least it's like more than literally 1 page. I gave China exactly 1 page. Egypt got 3. India got 3. Maybe even 4. Mesopotamia? Okay, yeah, everything else got at least 2 pages. Why did I give China only 1 page? Why did weeaboo me, who is obsessed with Japan and Japanese culture, only give China a single page in my art journal? Is it maybe because, I don't know, I just thought they were inferior and I wanted people to focus more on what I thought was the superior Far Eastern country? Because, hoo boy. I feel like I'm learning something about myself. And I don't like what I'm learning. On behalf of 8th grade Greece, I'm sorry, ancient China, you deserved better. So, gave a little bit of time to Egypt, a little bit dedicated to India. Again, I can barely read some of this anymore. Not only was my handwriting is just bad, but it was also very, like, lightly etched. I feel like I did not put much effort into being able, like, you could really read what I was writing. Here I wrote in pen, or, like, wrote in pencil and went over it with pen. Here I just wrote in pencil as if I didn't actually care if you were able to read any of the things that I wrote about any other culture, because I didn't. But at least I moved into marker for India. Yay, go India! Yeah, so it's just a lot of, like, frantic painting for a lot of these. I didn't put too much effort into things. You'll notice I did start separating out my pictures and, like, pasting them in different places instead of just making a collage, so I got a little bit more creative with the layout there. That's fun. Yeah, okay, I gave a couple of pages to Mesopotamia. I should have picked a way higher definition image of this to print, because I'm sure it looks absolutely gorgeous, but you cannot tell with this picture. I have a couple of random notes on just civilization and things like that. We did stuff like that for India and Egypt as well. But not for China. Again, I wonder why not for China. Then we had one on Greece, where I didn't do anything fancy. I just kind of wrote stuff. I went back to marker though, so that's good. You were able to actually kind of see what I was writing. I also was really into Greek mythology, still am. So I actually cared a little bit more about Greece. So this was like a prompt that was like a what if scenario. Is something considered actual art, or is it a forgery, or is it something like, was it created on accident, or is this person an actual artist? So the scenario was, one day when Dolores was painting her toenails, she knocked over the bottle of nail polish onto her finest white tablecloth. Amazingly, the nail polish had created the best profile of Abraham Lincoln ever created by man or woman. Questions here: was Dolores an artist or a lucky klutz? Is the image art, or is it an accident? Is the nail polish a legitimate art medium? Is it okay for an artist to take credit for a fluke? Interestingly, I was very, very hard on Dolores. She was a lucky klutz. It was not art, it was an accident. Nail polish is absolutely not a legitimate art medium. I just wrote, I don't think so. I didn't go that hard on it. But then I said it was okay for an artist to take credit for a fluke, which I feel like I gotta pick a lane. I think this can kind of come back to the AI art debate in a way, which is kind of interesting, kind of fun. My take is, if you're just using AI as a tool, I have friends who maybe aren't great artists themselves and don't have a whole lot of money that they can use to commission an artist, and if they want to use AI art to make a approximation of what their D&D character looks like or something, and then just kind of have it for fun, that's fine. You can do that. I don't want AI to in any way take away from the work of legitimate artists. That's where I draw a line. I wish there was some way for us to really make that like a hard line rule, but there's not. There's no way we're going to be able to regulate things like that. So, you know, use AI as a tool. If you're really bad at backgrounds and you just want to make AI create you a background so you don't have to draw it in your webcomics, I don't think there's anything really all that wrong with that. It's a tool like anything else. As long as you are still doing some of your art, you're an artist. I just hope AI does not take away work from actual artists. That would be nice. I've got a lot of friends who are trying to break into the industry and I don't want them to get kicked out of a job. Oh, so one of... Darius. We had to do a project that was we had to design a labyrinth, create a minotaur that we would like put in the middle of the labyrinth, and then kind of, I think we had to like glue a thread that showed the way through the labyrinth to the minotaur, out and back. Really interesting. I actually really liked the project. I had a lot of fun with it. I would just like to draw attention to the fact that I did not care enough about this project to fact check anything about it, because I called Daedalus Darius and then put a question mark, Anyway, here's my Minotaur rough draft that you cannot see because I painted over the entire thing with pink. Probably because I hated the design. But I just kind of made a harpy, except her wings just kind of had feathers on them, instead of her, like, having actual, like, wings for arms, which I think is a way more fun concept. Instead of calling her a harpy, I called her a bird plus woman, or a burden, because that's what it was to make this. I was so funny. So just like with the cave art project, we had a little bit of self-reflection on the labyrinth after. You're gonna see the actual labyrinth rough draft later on. I, described how you made it, what was the hardest part of it, what would you call it? I wrote, I would call it labyrinth and burden in Japan, I guess. This is still true. I mentioned that the hardest part of the project was making the labyrinth, like, detailed and making it really feel like it was a maze and not just a bunch of lines, because I'm not very good at detail. That's still true. I'm getting better at it over time the more I practice, but I'm still not fantastic at it. Here it is. Yup. I guess I thought that in order to make up for the fact that I was just really bad at putting details and making lines make sense, I would just throw in a whole bunch of random kanji everywhere and, like, make that part of my labyrinth, because Japan was the only culture I cared about, and it's the only language I cared about, and it was the only thing I cared about, and I was a weeaboo. Once again, I forget what all of these mean. I don't remember what any of these mean, and that's quite sad, because I didn't actually care to learn the language. I just wanted something that looked cool and fancy and made me feel pretentious and smart. We went in a little bit about medieval. You can see I put in more effort here because I actually, to this day, am still a very big fan of medieval time. I think that might be my favorite historical time period, just for, like, I just think it's fascinating. I would not want to live then, obviously, but I think it was just an interesting time period. I love the, like, feel of knights and royals, and, like, the feudal system was very interesting. Obviously it was an awful system, but as a writer it makes a really interesting setting for stories, I think. There's a lot of storytelling that you can do with the medieval times. So I did care about the medieval times. So I put in a little bit more effort. I made this cute little gradient rainbow thing up here. I tried making, I don't think you would call those, what do they call them? It's not Celtic knots, but it was something that was, like, I don't know. But I put little vines with flowers, and I put little things, little borders on the side, and I actually tried to make, I wrote in pen so you could see things. Here we go. This is the part that I was most excited to show off again. Look at all those flags. Look at all those flags. This was not meant to be a self-portrait. I don't know who this is or why they are here. I wrote in kanji for the Japanese language, of course, and then I put a little smiley face with a cat mouth. I wrote more Nihongo in a demonstration of anime and manga. My anime/manga gallery begins next page. I was just going to draw a whole bunch of characters. Oh, that's delightful. Okay, wait. Oh my goodness. Oh, well, we've solved the mystery, gang. We have solved the mystery of what on earth was written on this page here. The answer is absolutely freaking nothing. I just picked a bunch of random kanji that meant cool stuff and just wrote it. I just put it on the book. It means nothing. It's just a bunch of random disconnected words that have nothing to do with anything else happening here. I was the equivalent of that girl who goes in to get, like, a tattoo that says, like, means hope, and then I walk out of there with something that actually means, like, 2 quarts of rice or something, and I don't realize, and I tell everyone that it's my, like, really cool Japanese kanji tattoo that means hope, even though it's, not at all. Oh man, we need to just, we gotta talk about these guys here. But I really want to address Mikame, especially because you can tell I really liked Japanese names and, like, the sound of them, but I didn't actually know any. So I just kind of assumed you could just pick any random combination of sounds and just kind of squish them together and make a name out of it. Maybe Mikame actually is a name, but it's not one that I have heard of before. So, I don't know, Mikame, sound off in the comments, let me know if you exist, I guess. Sulfur, you can tell I kind of maybe tried to make a, like, kind of accurate human skeleton. No, I didn't. I did not. I don't know what the heck I was thinking here. Oh, we got our girl Jahara here with her massive hair that makes absolutely no sense. I was so entrenched in, like, anime hair. Did I have any more original characters? Oh, I did. Oh, hey, there's the self-portrait. I wanted to try and show off that I could, in fact, do side profiles, but I actually clearly could not. This is Chloe. Chloe's sort of an enduring character. She was probably one of the original characters that I ever made. And I think to this day she might be one of the only ones that I made that didn't have, like, anime hair. She was literally just a girl. I love that I felt the need to specify that Daryl is in fact male. I had a thing for weird eyes. You kind of see it, you get it a little bit with Mikame, and Sulfur's got some weird shaped eyes. But I had a thing for either hiding eyes entirely or doing something weird with them. I hated drawing both eyes open, so this was like a big deal for me. This was usual fare. At least one eye had to be blinking at all times because I could never get them to actually look accurate to each other. As you can see, I was going to have an entire page dedicated to drawings of Deidara, who once again I've not seen Naruto. And I literally don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but I saw his image one time and I was like, this one is my obsession. I like this one, and he's going to become my personality. I was gonna do another one dedicated to Shun from Bakugan. This one I stand by. I will stand by this one. Shun was probably one of my first cartoon crushes growing up. And I think if I rewatched the show these days, I probably still would be like, no, I kinda get it, 8th grade Grease. This one, you were valid for that. So I didn't actually end up drawing anything on these pages, but I did recreate the two boys for this cute little Happy Holidays thing, where my self-insert made an appearance again. I don't know why I scribbled in 4-leaf clover for St. Patrick's Day, and St. Patrick's Day and Christmas were the only holidays that I cared about. I forgot to give them clothes, evidently. I must have run out of time. I think I might have just scribbled this all in last minute. Why are my feet like that? And then I wanted to go in. Here's the racism. Oh! And then I wanted to go in and, you know, draw like a stereotypical person. Oh, I was gonna do more holidays and I just didn't get around to it. Draw a person from each of the cultures that we covered. This was my approximation of what China looked like, or what an average person in ancient China would have looked like. You can tell I did my research very clearly, as evidenced by the fact that she is wearing a super duper accurate cultural dress, and holding fans that are super duper accurate, and wearing footwear that is super duper accurate. And, you know, she's got the twin buns and the cool thing, the ribbons, so of course she's Chinese. Good golly. Yep. I was gonna alternate between, like, male and female a little bit. I didn't get around to, you can see I didn't get around to Egypt, probably for the best. I didn't get around to Greece, I didn't get around to Mesopotamia. But boy howdy did I do China and India completely wrong. You can see that she's an accurate representation of what an average human would look like in ancient India, on account of all the beads. All the gold in the beads, because she's got the dot on her forehead. Do you get it? Do you get it? I guess that's it. I didn't get around to Greece or Mesopotamia. That's a little bit sad. But wow, this was a trip. I will give Child Me this. That is kind of a cool concept, to have the front cover and then have like an easel of the front cover, and then like each one was successively smaller. I think that's kind of neat. I think that's kind of unique and fun. Did it come across super well? I don't know. Yeah, I'm really glad that I grew up. Let's put it that way. I'm really glad that I grew up. I'm really glad that I have learned from when I was an 8th grade child. I've been warned that I shouldn't be too hard on Child Me. I was in fact literally 13 years old and lived in probably one of the whitest areas you could come from. But boy howdy, was this kind of a wake-up call. It's actually kind of fun to see, like, how far I've come, to look back at things and get some insight not only into what my art was like, but into what I was like as a person. I think it says a lot about who I was as a person back then. For all of you who came here from that silly little short of me talking about appropriating a culture that I didn't understand for aesthetics, I hope you were satisfied by just how much of that was in this. The front cover, the covers are egregious, but they're not the most egregious thing in there. I had another draft of that short where I was going to, like, flip to the front cover and then try and open it to, like, show you that it flipped this way to be like, oh, because it's like manga. And I was trying really hard to get a take where I could perfectly flip it open to a page like a page like this one, or like this one, where you could really see some more glaring examples of me just completely, like this one, just completely not understanding the thing that I'm appropriating, but I couldn't get takes like that to work, so... But yeah, so this is my 8th grade art journal. It sure was a trip. Thanks for coming along on this journey with me. Once again, sorry for the crappy camera quality. I'm recording this on an iPad and that's all I got. I hope you had fun coming along on this little journey with me. Thanks for joining me, I guess. I guess stay tuned for more stuff. I've got some more modern art in the works. I've got some covers in the works. Once again, I don't really have anything professional. I'm working on scripting for a video essay, a big video essay. We'll see how that goes. If I get a big subscriber milestone by the end of the year, maybe I'll do like a fan dub of one of my favorite webtoons or something. I don't know. I'll do something. I'll try to do something kind of fun. I'm planning on eventually doing a whole like an OC roundup kind of thing where I like draw a bunch of the OCs that you're gonna see a lot of on this channel, and I kind of talk over it in their voice or play a clip from a song I've sung in their voice so you can kind of get used to what they sound like. Because you'll be seeing a lot of them. I do a lot of stuff with my characters. I'd say I sing more songs as them than I do as myself these days, which is maybe a little bit sad. I do still have some of my old art from roughly this period of time. Some of my old individual art. If you guys want to see me go over some of that, just like pages of art by itself instead of being in a journal, I would love to, because I would love to introduce you all to Dinah, who to this day I think is the greatest piece of art I've ever created. She's peak character design, in my humble opinion. But yeah, no, I would love to do that. If you guys want to see any of that, I guess let me know in comments or however else in community tab. And thanks again for coming on this journey with me. When will I do a face reveal? Never. Goodbye.